Today, a group of guests, starting out with Mark McDougall and Amber from Ruth Harbor. And we're going to talk about that ministry and how you should help benefit it. We've got a walk coming up for those of you walkers. It's coming up next, live here on The View.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 244-0077. That's 244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. We are live on 99.3 The Truth, also on webcast1live.com. If you are a person who is listening live, we thank you for that. If you are someone who has chosen to listen to us on a podcast, we especially thank you, because when it comes to podcasts, you have a million choices. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know, as an old radio guy, it's just incredible. In the old days, like in the 90s, when we'd say something, it was gone. And if you made a mistake, like Frank does every time he opens his mouth, we didn't have to worry, because if you were yawning or not paying attention to the radio, it went by and we got away with it.
Darn.
Not today. These podcasts are listened to by millions of people, and but we thank you. We thank you for the technology. We thank you that the good Lord has given us an opportunity to bring this ministry worldwide. I mean, that's what the WWW says, World Wide Web. We have people who listen to our podcast in Israel. We have people that listen to our podcast in Turkey, in Canada. I have a wonderful young lady who was a student of mine at one time. She is now teaching English in Japan, and she listens to the podcast on the way to her schoolwork or to her schoolroom every morning, because they're on a different time zone than we are. So anyway, we thank you for listening. We got an exciting show today. It's going to come in two parts. Later on, you're going to meet David Burrier and his new show that's coming on, and his new show is called I Think I've Been There. No. Is that right? I've been there. Okay. And we're going to talk to him about that show and meet some of his co-hosts, some who are really, really eligible and professional and talented to be a great co-host, kind of like Frank. You know, you can call Frank whatever you want, the verse, the voice, the vox. But Frank's a smart guy, and I'm glad to have him around. You're going to meet Sarah, who's incredibly intelligent and one of the best co-hosts up and coming in this community. And then you're going to meet Carrie. And I'll just let you wait for that disappointment on your own. I think Carrie's probably a charity case, but I'll talk to David about that off mic. All right, so I want to come over here and meet Mark McDougall. Mark, are you the founder?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. But you run
I've been
Ruth
there
Harbor.
a while.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long have you been there?
I'm the director of Ruth Harbor. I've been there for about 13 of their 14 years.
And, well, that's all.
Well, but founder, that's
okay.
one more. No,
all right.
not that.
Now, I have an ignorant question to ask.
Oh, please. That's okay.
Was there or is there a person by the name of Ruth Harbor?
That's a great question. Ruth, the name out of the Bible that means compassion. Harbor, a safe place for ships. A compassionate, safe place for young women to come with unplanned pregnancies. It was taken from the dictionary, not from a person. There is no Ruth. There is no Mr. Harbor, even though when I pick up the phone sometimes, is this Mr. Harbor? I said, no, there's no
Why
such
don't you
person.
just say yes?
Well, I have, but it could start something.
It could. Household Ruth. Man, I haven't seen her at Dolls in a long time. Well, Dolls is closed. All right. You've got a big event coming up to raise money, and tell me about it.
Ruth Harbor is funded entirely privately without state or federal funds, so we rely on the community, individuals who believe in our mission of helping young women with an unplanned pregnancy. So a couple of times a year, we do an event to try and raise funds. One is a banquet in the fall, but in the spring, we have what's called the Walk for Life. It's coming up Saturday, May 9th.
Yep, Mother's Day weekend.
Mother's Day weekend. Most Mother's Day activities happen on Sunday, so we invite folks to be involved on Saturday at our walk. The goal of that is to raise funds and to raise awareness, and people do that by registering to be a sponsored walker. They invite their friends to support them. Ruth Harbor collects all the money, and so you don't have to ask for any money, but if they support you, then, of course, as they say, well, Mac, why should I support you? You say, well, Ruth Harbor, here's what they do. And that's how the awareness is raised of our mission and what we do. And then, of course, as they choose to support you, that raises the funds. Our goal is $35,000 this year.
And what part of your operating budget is that?
Ooh, trick question.
Part of it. We'll just say it's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you can tell, I don't think of these questions up front.
Neither did I.
I want to introduce you to a young lady who benefited greatly from Ruth Harbor. And Amber, I'm proud of you for being so brave to come on here. How are you today?
Fabulous. How are you?
Good. Now, you have a, what'd you say, 6-month-old?
10-month-old.
10-month-old boy or girl?
Boy.
And what's his name?
Bryson.
Bryson. All right. And so 10 plus 9 is 19. 19, see? Right
I'm
off
impressed. I am
follow
impressed.
along, man. You got to be sharp to do this. So 19 months ago, you discovered you were pregnant.
Something like that.
Okay. And what was your first thought?
Oh, crap.
Okay.
Not that nice.
Okay.
I got the pregnancy test at Walmart, took it in Walmart's bathroom stall, and started bawling.
Okay.
I was so scared.
Yeah.
Terrified.
You didn't want to be pregnant.
No single woman wants
Right.
to be pregnant. I mean, I was, so I took on the responsibility.
So tough question. Can I ask you a tough question?
Yeah.
So why not just go to Planned Parenthood? I mean, boom, boom, it's done. You're gone. Forget it. It's over with.
Nope.
Nope.
When I found out, I was 12 weeks.
Okay.
So I was too far along anyways. But that thought
Not
never...
for Planned Parenthood. They'll yank them out there at 52 if they get a chance.
That thought never even crossed my mind.
Okay.
Never.
All right.
I made a choice to have sex. It's now my responsibility to raise the child.
And now when you look at Bryson, I bet you know it was the absolute right choice.
Oh my gosh. Love
So,
my life.
how did you find out about Ruth Harbor?
Actually, I remembered them. I took a tour when I was in high school 5 years ago. And then I remembered them because I just needed someone like that positive energy around me when I was pregnant, and I wasn't getting that at my house. And
Mom and Dad weren't very happy?
No, they weren't. And I don't blame them. I'm not saying that as a negative thing.
Right.
But I needed that positive energy so I could stay stressed. My stress level would stay down for my baby. And so I remembered them from high school, and I called them, and they welcomed me with open arms.
And what did they do first of all?
You go through an interview process. So you have to fill out an application, and then they call you back for an interview, and then they accept you. And then you have this 2-week period of like
Orientation,
you can call it. You're away from the world. You're just at Ruth Harbor, and you do whatever they need you to do, which was awesome for me.
Are you living there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a live-in home.
Yeah.
Live-in home for pregnant women.
We're talking to Amber and Mark McDougall from the good folks at Ruth Harbor. They've got a big fundraiser coming up a week from this Saturday, May 9th, 9:30 a.m. downtown at the Embassy Suites Hotel. They're trying to raise money, and you can help. You can help by sponsoring them. You can help by sending a check or a donation. You can go down and walk and get people to sponsor you. I can't think of a better reason. To walk. Frank, you got a question?
Yeah, Amber, that sounds pretty intuitive of you to be so on the ball that you was thinking prenatally about your child's health. So I really want to compliment you on that because a lot of people don't consider that.
Thank you.
That stress, your baby is going to feel all that stress that you feel in a relationship or negative energy in your home or whatever. So it was really good of you to be thinking that far ahead.
Thank you.
Well, and I didn't tell you this before, but my mother did the same thing 57 years ago.
Yeah.
Only I went to a place called Child Savings in Omaha. When my biological grandmother found out that my biological mother was pregnant, she whisked her away from college. She had a relationship with a married professor. She was 18 years old and whisked her away, and she lived in a place like Ruth Harbor for the next 7 months until I was born. Now, she chose to put me up for adoption, where you chose to keep Bryson.
Yep.
And that's awesome. So tell me about your time at Ruth Harbor. What was some of the best things about it?
Like I said, the stress level was down.
Yeah.
The house parents there are awesome. If you have any questions, they will, if they know the answer, they'll tell you. If they don't, they will go out of their way to find that answer and to help you. And then we have what you call Earn While You Learn videos.
Earn While You Learn. Okay.
And those are basically like videos that prepare you for like delivery and what life is going to be like if you choose to parent. And you just watch, they're like little 15 to 30-minute videos that you watch. And it prepared me. I knew nothing about, I thought I knew everything about delivery from my friends having kids.
Yeah.
And I knew.
You didn't know anything about what they taught you. Now, you said if you choose to parent. So there are also women that come there who know they're going to give up that child for adoption.
We don't like to say give up. We say place.
Place. Okay.
Place in a home.
That makes sense. And you have young ladies that you were living with at the time that chose to place those babies in a home?
Yes. Yep.
Man, that's a tough choice.
Yeah.
But it's a far better choice than the alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So did your family get more comfortable? That's bad English. Get comfortable more as the time went on, as they saw what a wonderful thing Ruth Harbor was for you?
Definitely. Being at Ruth Harbor helped my relationship with my family all around.
Okay.
Because I was too hormonal.
Yeah. So how do you want to help Ruth Harbor now?
Any way I can.
Okay.
Any possible way I can. I can't even begin to thank Mark enough for what Ruth Harbor has honestly done for me.
Yeah, kind of saved your life and saved Bryce's life. And yeah, well, you're a good girl, and Jesus loves you for doing what you've done. You know, you got your name placed in the book of life, and so did your sons. And had you made a different choice, all kind of lives would be different. I mean, you made you didn't make one choice; you made a choice for generations to come.
I hope so.
You know, when you're holding your grandson or granddaughter that comes from Bryce.
Not forever.
Well, hey, let me tell you something. It comes sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Comes sooner than you think.
I'm sure my mom would say the same thing.
Yeah.
We refer to Amber and the other alumni of Ruth Harbor as our heroes because they are the ones making the tough decisions.
Yeah.
To choose to move through what they are doing, whether they're placing for adoption and choosing that way of parenting their child, or whether they're taking it on their own, many times with not a whole lot of resources. And Amber is a great example of the young women who say, I want to give back. I want to do something to help Ruth Harbor. But yet they don't have enough money to get things rolling on their own for apartments and cars and utilities. So an example of that is taking their time to come and share with the audience today, which Amber is doing, which is a big help because people can't understand from Mark. You know, he's the director. Yeah, of course you do this stuff. But getting her story.
Yeah, that's gold.
You understand. Yeah. You understand why we do what we do, and that's why we love what we do.
All right, now, you and I haven't talked about this. I'm famous for asking questions that I should have asked before, but I don't do that. So you've got young ladies at Ruth Harbor right now that are going to place their child. Well, you sometimes do.
Absolutely. I can't say for sure, but yes.
All right. So if there's a young couple out there listening, and they, for whatever reason, can't have?
Great question. I'll go there real easy. Because Ruth Harbor makes an effort to be completely neutral space, when Amber considers coming to Ruth Harbor, we want her to know that it's neutral space, that we're not there to try and match up her child.
Okay.
We want that to be her decision. Therefore, we choose not to be an adoption agency. So we would not pair them up. However, we do get that question often, and we will quickly give them a list of the various agencies that we do pair our women up with or recommend to them so that their name can be there and could potentially be considered.
It's Ruth Harbor. It's a place that if you've never taken a tour of, you should. If you've got teenage daughters or sons, especially if they've chosen to let the hormones kick in and become a little promiscuous, take them there and let them talk to some of the mothers and soon-to-be fathers that are there. And it's also worth your time to take a walk with them on May 9th. That's a week from Saturday, down at the Embassy Suites Hotel. Starts at 9:30 in the morning, and they need your help. Amber, thank you so very much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
The way to get involved in our walk is to go to the website.
Okay.
Register real easy. RuthHarbor.org.
RuthHarbor.org.
There's two H's. RuthHarbor.
Right.
BOR. There we go. .org.
Mark, thanks for coming down today.
Thanks for inviting us, Mac.
Yeah, Amber, God loves you.
Thanks.
You are a wonderful person. You are a wonderful person. All right. Ruth Harbor, check them out, ruthharbor.org. When we come back, there's a brand new show coming to Webcast One Live, and The Truth, meet the people behind it, live next.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome back. We appreciate you being here this afternoon. Tomorrow, a wonderful show. No, Frank will be here, but it'll still be a wonderful show.
It's wonderful because I am here.
That's true. That's true.
That is true.
David Householder, who is a pastor in California, and yes, he is that householder. He is Mike's big brother. He will be on the radio live in California. The Reverend Walter Jackson will be live, I think, from the state of Tennessee.
The third.
Walter Jackson the third.
third.
That's right. And Walter is I think he's a Black Baptist hellfire and damnation preacher. And he's madder than Hades at this thing that's going on in Baltimore. Very, very upset. And so I gave him the opportunity to come on together.
As he ought to be.
And they'll both be on the phone, and we'll be talking a little bit about Baltimore tomorrow. So let you know what's going on. All right. I want to introduce you to my special guest today, Dave Burrier. Yes, you may know that name from many different charities and things like that in life. But David's got a new lease on life coming up here soon. You're going to start your own radio and webcast show.
I am. Thanks for having me do that, and thank God that He planted the seed in you, and then you followed through.
Well, now I'm going to get this picture. Kara, you need to move over to your right. You need to act like you like Sarah. I know that maybe Hippo will not mind. Okay, Hippo will not mind.
No, hippos are good.
All right. And the two people that you have on your right, why don't you introduce them? And they are going to be your co-hosts. Two of the four.
Two of the four have a different co-host because the program is weekly, and we can talk later about what time and when it's going to be launching. But I'll just let them introduce themselves, and each are taking a week to be a co-host. So,
All right. Well, my name is Kerry Peterson, and I'm going to be the fourth Thursday of the month.
And why don't you tell people a little bit about you? I've known you for 20-some years, so I could tell them stories, but I want you to tell them what you think.
Well, first thing is, we'd like everybody to take a moment and stop and pray for Mac for enduring that. But I'm the founder of Northern Lights Pizza, and that's mostly what I do. And I'm a member of Grace Church, and came to faith about 4 years ago. And God has been blessing my life, and I just want to give a little of that back. So
that's awesome. And Kerry will be great. He's got a great personality
and a good heart.
Yeah, good heart. Think off the top, and he's just he's unlike Frank. He's just so genuine and warm.
But does he cater?
He does cater, except not today.
Oh, I can serve it, believe me.
Yeah, he can serve it up. Yeah, don't worry about that. And the other young lady, the other co-host you have to your right.
Yep.
I'm Sarah Keebler, and I'm a member at Berean Assembly. That's where I met Dave Burrier. And my husband and I have served in van ministry, and we've gotten to know a lot of the stories and the journeys of the people that we bring to Berean on the van ministry. And I've served...
You say the van ministry.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Well, we help transport those that don't have a way to get to church.
Oh, okay.
So either from the shelters or treatment centers.
Oh, the van. Oh, I was
Yes.
hearing the van.
The van
Okay.
ministry.
All right. And Berean's one of my favorite churches.
Yes.
I love Gary
Ours
Pilcher,
too.
but I love Nathan Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
He and I have lunch about once a month over at Jethro's on Thursdays. Almost did it today, but we didn't make it. And he is he's one of the best worship leaders I've ever seen. He's just so
Absolutely.
awesome.
He is.
Yeah, I wish you guys were in my neighborhood, or I wish I lived in your neighborhood because I'd come more often.
Excuses.
We could
I
pick,
know.
we
Poor
could pick
excuse.
you up to our van ministry.
There you go.
Yes. Well,
You just need to know what shelter he's at on a given day.
that's
Oh, you
true.
only pick them up at shelters? I'll
Or
be
wait
at the,
till CJ kicks him out or something. maybe.
Oh, that'll never happen. Good heavens, no! I've got my own
Doghouse
doghouse in the backyard.
Okay.
Actually, Carrie lets me sleep on the pizza boxes.
Yes.
Over at when I get kicked out.
While the pizzas are still warm.
Yeah, because then I stay warm. Yeah.
Gotta,
How
It's
cheesy.
got to be comfortable.
So tell me about your show, because this is and let me back up. Here's where this comes from. So I know of David, and we've met a couple times, but it doesn't matter if you don't remember. I'm not rememberable, but I remembered you because you were always such a sweet and gentle soul, and you have committed your life to ministry and helping other people, and that's something that I want to do, but it's a character defect of mine, I guess. I don't mind helping, lowly, almost homeless people like Frank, and on the radio and stuff. But man, you're down there in the trenches, and I've always respected you for that. So one day you posted on Facebook that you had just had heart surgery, and that something about you couldn't wait to see what God had planned for you next. And I don't know. I guess it's divine intervention. I don't know. Something just said this guy needs to tell stories on the station. And so I called you up, and you were a little suspicious. You were. He sat, Frank, you weren't here that day, but he sat right there and he said, "So tell me who J. Michael McCoy is." And I thought, well, okay, he asked. And 3 hours later, he had an idea about who I was.
Now, did you go back and do all the bad and then the good?
I think I did some of the bad, didn't I?
Well, I was looking for some who was not without sin.
Oh, boy. That would be me.
So he got the mixed bag.
Which is why I've selected the
got the full
co-hosts that I
flavor.
have. They are people
Oh.
who understand that we live by the grace of God. So
Sarah is an angel. How could you ever say she's
pretty darn close.
pretty darn close?
Yeah.
Now, Carrie, on the other hand,
Pizza.
He's trouble.
you are trouble.
Oh.
I'm so glad that Jesus mugged you, because if he hadn't, man, you were heading down a road of just. How did Hippo put up with you all those years?
Pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals. Okay. That makes sense. So I called you. I said, here's the deal. I want you to do a show on Webcast One. You then got together with Chris Roloff, the manager of the station, and you're now going to do something on the station at the same time.
Yeah.
So show's going to be Thursdays here on Webcast.
It is going to be the first show, Mac, is going to be on Thursday, June 4th.
Okay.
From 5 to 6. Looking over there at Ryan to make sure we're cool. And then on Saturdays on KTIA at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it'll play back.
But you had asked about how this all got started, because when you did call me, I did kind of shut it down, and it's because, I'd been asking myself, all right, Lord, you could have taken me. I've had several doctors tell me, you dodged a bullet, David. And so then it's like, well, why didn't you take me when you could? And, it's just, you go through all that mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, if you didn't take me, then what is this? What do you have something, Lord?
Yeah.
Am I not listening? If I'm missing it, you're going to have to be a little bit more obvious. Okay, so that's kind of the gymnastics I was going through, and your call comes in, and I'm like, no. And then I started thinking more about it, and I was like, oh, well, maybe that was God's prodding, but this is all new. I've never done anything like that, and I'm not qualified. And you know that quote, God doesn't
call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Yeah, and so, I got to thinking, and I had produced a set of adult devotional CDs some years ago after our son's cancer, and I just started dreaming a little bit about it, and he kept opening up doors. And then when I came and talked with you, and you told me your story, and it started falling together. And so I wanted to, and I've written a purpose statement that I think just sets the tone for why I've been there. And
a mission statement or a purpose statement? Are they the same?
To me, it's the same.
Okay.
But
all right.
So the purpose...
Have you cleared this with the head of this whole operation,
no,
Sarah?
No, because they don't have veto power.
They don't have... Sarah, you need to negotiate veto power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie, forget it.
No, actually, I have shared. They know, and the reason they're here is because all of the co-hosts are because of their heart, and we had to connect on the mission, the purpose, and they needed to hear and see the vision and whatever. But the purpose of the show is to bring hope and promise and encouragement to people who are hurting. And to testify, that's the ultimate goal, testify to God's faithfulness through the lives of people who've been there.
Yeah, okay, which is the name of your show.
And I have 24 people already lined up, practically half a year's worth of interviews of people who have the most amazing stories of how on earth did you ever get through that valley. And they will share their stories. And then they will talk about how God... through people, brought them through that valley. They'll talk about times where they doubted God, where they were angry at God, but ultimately how it grew their faith. And they're going to be able to, sorry, I'm getting emotional.
That's all right.
I just feel so strongly that God has called this. And if anything, this is why he spared me. There are so many people that are hurting.
Yeah.
And they're ready to throw in the towel. When I was 18 years old, that was 43 years ago, I was at a retreat.
That makes him 39 for those of you.
And some months.
Yeah, a couple months.
43 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, you do what I do often, throw in a little humor, and my wife says very little. But anyway, I digress. There aren't many people that get Mac, and I don't know if I just did, but anyway. So I'm at a retreat, and I'm 18 years old, and Pastor Larry Trotke up in St. Paul Lutheran up in Waverly, and we were talking by the fireplace, and he said, David, what are you going to do in life? I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably help people, And he says, well, if that's the case, let me tell you something. If you assume that every person you meet in your life is hurting in some way, you will be right 99% of the time. And that just set the course for him. You might as well have just tattooed SOS on my forehead, because I kind of been a magnet for people who, this morning, I had a conversation with somebody who really had some deep-seated hurt, but it took 2 hours to get it out. And I knew it was there.
Frank?
Hey, David, do you believe as I do that you're either blessed of God or cursed of God? And it just seems like there's a whole lot of people that is going without blessings.
Well, wow, that's so deep. I will say, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question really well, but I will say this. In the midst of pain, and I can go back 16 years, every year, Karen and I have had some crisis. So I can truly say I've been there. Now, if you're hurting right now, it's a specific thing I may not be able to say to you, I know how you feel. But I know feelings of desperation. I know financial ruin. I know sickness. I know death. I know I've had those. And it's not bragging about it. I'm saying, I will say this. God has blessed me with enough of those tragedies for me to know that when the next one comes, and I'm not saying, go ahead, Lord, give it to me because I'm getting real good at this, but I'm saying that the next one comes, I'm able to say, thank you, Lord, for the blessings that I'm about to receive and that I can't see. And so I think that's part of the message to folks is, when you get to a point in life where you can try to find the blessings in the midst of your pain, it changes everything. Mm-hmm. It changes everything. Where you can say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for the challenge. Because what happens is it draws us closer to him.
Well, it kind of gives me some comfort when you're attacked that Satan isn't going to waste time on people who is not making a difference. So when you're being attacked, wear it as a badge of honor.
All right, that's Frank's deep wisdom for that. Frank, that's deeper than I've ever heard you talk about. David Burrier is here, his new show, I've Been There, here on Webcast One Live and also on KTIA. We're going to talk to him a little bit farther. But when we come back, two of his four co-hosts are here, Carrie and Sarah, and we're going to share a little bit of their stories and how they came to be where they are, standing next to David Burrier. We're coming up next, live here on The Truth, 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Michael Mudloff with True Blue from Westkirk Presbyterian Church. 2 more days of the current programming schedule. Starting Monday, May 4th, things get changed around, hopefully for the better. I believe it's for the better. Michael Mudloff will be on at high noon. He takes the Paul Harvey spot that I like to call. Then at 1 o'clock, Ask Dr. Brown. No, not Ask Dr. Brown. Dr. Michael Brown. And then at 2 o'clock, Frank and I will be on.
Isn't it Line of Fire?
Line of Fire, thank you. And then Frank and I will be on from 2 to 3. We'll be 1 hour earlier. And then from 3 to 5, it'll be my good friend and buddy Steve Dace live. Right back here in the market after being gone for almost 4 years from WHO. He'll be back on the market live 3 to 5 every afternoon as you drive home. And then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, from 5 to 6. And then we go right back into our excellent preachers and teachers. So that'll come up on May 4th. Now, that does not begin the expanded coverage. This is kind of like the soft open, when you're having a business. Our transmitter and tower and antennas and new studios should all be ready by, I don't know, end of May. We're not hurrying it. I don't want to give you a date. There's no big date. We'll know probably 6 or 7 days before that we'll be able to count down. And then from that time on, we'll have expanded coverage throughout central Iowa, probably the Iowa Speedway over to Adair to the west, and then up by the Boondocks, a little south of Mason City, and then down to Lucas County. So we'll completely cover central Iowa with a preaching, teaching, and social commentary radio station, the first of its kind in central Iowa, and I feel so blessed to be a part of it. I just, I've done 4 radio stations in my life. I've built 4 radio stations from scratch in my life, and the first 3 were about power and greed, about being number one, knocking off my competitors, making my, here is my definition of a coup. My definition of a coup is when your customers, clients, listeners go, oh, yeah, and your competitors go, oh, crap. And that's what's happening right now. God has blessed this radio station to move into the Des Moines metropolitan area, first time ever, to do a 24/7 preaching and teaching format.
We're not beyond putting some fear in our competitors, though, are you?
Let them be the fear of God. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just not thinking about that like that anymore. I'm just letting God handle this. I mean, look at what He's done with this little radio station in Boone, Iowa. We're coming. Do you know how often this happens? This only happens 4
times.
4 times. Well, but I wasn't a part of. It's been about 6 times that this has happened in the Des Moines market since the beginning of radio. 100 years ago.
Sure.
But this is one of those times, and it's a God thing. It's an absolute God thing. All right, so today we're talking with David Burrier. He's got a radio program starting not only on Webcast One Live, but also on The Truth called I've Been There. And it's people coming in and sharing, and they're sharing the stories of their life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And here's what you're going to find. And you may word this differently, but that's okay. But I call them nows, nuggets of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And they don't know they're going to say it. Mm-hmm. You don't know the question you're going to ask is bring it out of them. God knows.
Amen.
And there's going to be somebody listening to the radio that day or listening to the podcast later on, and that's the one thing they needed. They needed to hear that encouragement, that direction, that scripture, that idea that takes them over the hurdle and on to where they need to go. Because God uses us.
Amen.
He uses us for that. And that's the ministry that you're going to be in, is just bring people in.
Facilitate the discussion.
My prayer before the microphone opened up, I have 2 prayers. The first one is, please help Frank be quiet. And the second one is, God, your words through me. Your words through me. Take away my ego, which is edging God out. Take away my self-centeredness. Take away I'm a big hot dog radio guy, and just make me a humble servant to use as you would have me be used. And he puts a question in my head that I ask, and somebody out there goes, oh my gosh, that's the scripture. That's what I needed. And that's what your show's going to be.
Yeah, back in 1982, I was doing a lot of children's ministry, and I like to put music to scripture for kids to memorize, but adults as well. And so here's one of them. If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member's honored, together rejoice. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 26. And that's what this is. People are suffering, they're hurting, and we're going to bring them the message of hope.
Yeah.
And they say that you can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, 4 minutes without oxygen, but nobody in this room, including Ryan out there, can live the next 4 seconds without hope.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do.
I like that. That's good. Now, I couldn't go 40 days without Northern Lights pizza, though. I mean,
yeah.
I've got...
well, especially the breakfast pizza.
Yeah, it's and the Scooby snacks, yeah. So let's introduce you to Kerry Peterson. Him and his wife humbly founded Northern Lights Pizza 20 years ago?
Yep, 20 years ago.
And about 4 years ago, Christ came to Kerry and said, you're mine. And tell me about that story. We've got about 4 minutes. Tell me about that story a little bit.
Well, we were going through...
And, by the way, Kerry's here because he's one of the co-hosts of your show, once a week.
Yep.
We were going through my own tribulation at that time. It was business related. We were having some struggles, and usually you only see God when you're lying flat on your back. And sometimes when he wants you bad enough, he's got to put you flat on your back. And I was reading a book, and I've talked to David about this, called 90 Minutes in Heaven. And in that book, the man that wrote the book went through a horrible tragedy and had died and had come back. And in the book, he was asking the same question Dave did. Why? Why did you spare me? Why did you send me back? And I was reading the book. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was really tired. It's a good place to stop. And I stopped, and, I was laying there thinking about everything, and I just realized that, I need to give my life to Christ. And I did right there on the spot. And then I'm like, okay, God, now what? He said, get up and keep reading. So I did. So I got up and keep reading. And it was right in that part of the book of he was explaining why he felt God brought him back to tell people the story so that he could tell what his experience was, how he went through the tragedy. He went through an intense amount of pain and rehabilitation, had to regrow his leg and all this stuff. And you just realize, he looks back and now he realizes why he went through that tragedy, so that he now has a story to tell to encourage other people too. And so that's okay. That's obviously what I'm called to. And then as you read the Bible, you find out that's in fact what we are to do. We are to tell people about Jesus, to bring people to Christ, to tell them the good news and the hope and the salvation that we have, because we can't do it by ourselves. It's like standing in a hole and saying, I need a ladder, I'll go get one and then climb out. It doesn't work that way. God's going to drop the rope. That's your only hope.
Don't you find that people's ears perk up when they hear success stories?
Yes.
As opposed to how I failed, their ears really perk up when you tell them how I overcame this.
Yes.
And it gives them hope that if you overcame, they can overcome.
And anybody that knows me knows if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's right.
All right, our guests today are David Burrier, who has got a brand new radio show coming on KTIA. It'll be 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings. It's called I've Been There. And we've just got a couple minutes before break. Give me some ideas of some of the stories that we're going to hear about.
Well, there's a gal named Elizabeth, and I wasn't sure that she was at a point where she would want to share her story, but she had 2 sets of twins, 6 months and 18 months, and her husband left her. Then she gets remarried after a time. That husband gets cancer, dies. Then she gets cancer. And then just the ongoing of really, I mean, have you ever been to a point where you want to say, okay, enough already?
Yeah.
And you wonder, can anybody continue on that road? How did she continue? How did she bear all of that? That's one. There's another situation that's coming where both husband and wife have cancer. And they're like in their 70s. Now, it's one thing, one spouse has cancer, the other supports. These two both are going through chemotherapy at the same time, and their story is remarkable.
All right, the program's called I've Been There. It'll be 10 a.m. on KTIA and Thursday afternoon, or early evening here on Webcast One Live. When we come back, another one of the co-hosts, Sarah Keebler, is here. We'll hear her story, and then we're going to wrap this up with a beautiful poem that David has written. That's here live on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
10 minutes for the top Salem Radio Network news updates you on your news. One of the stories you're going to hear, the NASA spacecraft that was heading to Mars. NASA reports today that it crashed into Mercury, the planet Mercury. And so that space probe has been destroyed. And for those of us who are space fans, I've been a space fan all my life. I remember watching Neil Armstrong take his first steps on the moon. I was at Wentworth Military Academy. I was in military school. And down there in the basement with a black and white TV. So I've always been a space fan. And sad day for the space program today. And not just a money loss, but just the scientists who just put so much into this idea that there's exploration that needs to be done outside of our small little world. And this is a big setback for them. So I'm sure there's other news, too.
One small step for man and one large step for mankind.
One giant leap for mankind. That's right. Now, the biggest story, of course, is what's going on in Baltimore. And tomorrow, Walter Jackson III, who is a Baptist fire and brimstone minister, I think in Tennessee, is going to be on the phone, along with David Householder. No, not Michael. David Householder, his older brother, Mike's older brother. And so we'll have somebody in California, somebody in Tennessee, Frank and I in the middle, and we're going to be talking about the Baltimore situation. Probably going to be a hot show, so I invite you to listen.
And it was revealed yesterday that according to the police department, there was a stand-down order given.
Right. Yeah. They did have a stand-down order. So everything that's happened is, well, whatever. All right, David, you've got a new show coming up called I've Been There. You've got a poem. Did you write this poem?
Yeah, it's actually going to be the theme song of two adult devotional CDs that I'll be offering to our listeners that I wrote after our son had cancer. So
Okay.
it started out as a poem, and then it's be the theme song.
I want to wrap up the program with that first, but I want to go to Sarah Keebler now. You know, with Carrie, you think about what you want to look for in a co-host, and he loves Jesus, and he's a good, honest man. He is a businessman. He puts out a good product, but he's uglier than the backside of a dog. Right? I mean, seriously.
That's the kindest thing you've ever said to me.
I want you to. I
appreciate
said
it.
that with love.
Yes, man. It's the truth. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you and I, we do not have faces for. We got faces for radio.
Yes,
we're right where
absolutely.
we're supposed to be. And then you bring in like a Victoria's Secret model.
Oh, stop it.
What?
Mac,
What?
that's ridiculous.
You're not beautiful?
No, don't.
You're
even
beautiful inside and out.
So the correct response, Sarah, is yes, I am.
Yes. It's a compliment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm glad your name's not Carrie.
I'll receive that, I think.
And you're a fiery libertarian. And
Yes.
one of these days we'll talk about politics. But the point is, you also have a heart as big as this state when it comes to the ministry that David has.
Correct.
What brought you to this place? Because I found out, I didn't know this. This is terrible.
We surprised you today.
You did. And Sarah and I have been friends on Facebook for 5-6 years, probably as long as I've been on.
Yes.
And
I've been a big fan for a long time.
Yeah, but one of the things I like about you is you tell me when you think I'm wrong. You don't sugarcoat it.
I don't have a problem with that at
Yeah,
all.
you don't sugarcoat it. But what you reminded me of that I didn't realize is you and your husband were on my show years ago when you guys were blending the family and I had
Yes.
you on.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I didn't remember that.
That's all right.
I've only done a couple talk shows in my life. So, but tell me why you're passionate about this ministry called I've Been There.
Well, I'm passionate about this ministry because as people of faith, we're given opportunities to mentor others. And we have these God appointments, whether we're serving in Sunday school, whether we are at work and someone's hurting and we're talking to them on our lunch break, or whether we serve in a ministry like I participate in on Wednesday nights called Freedom Community, which is a Celebrate Recovery group. And it just is amazing when you have the opportunity to pour into someone that has really been through a lot. And a lot of people are just hanging on by a thread, depending on where they're at in their life, what crisis they're dealing with, what addiction they're dealing with, or if something that just happened in their family, like some of the things that David mentioned. And to be able to just give a little bit of encouragement to help them on their journey is huge. And then to also give opportunities for them to hear other people that have been through what they're going through and how Christ walked them through it and how their faith in Jesus got them through that trial. And so that's what we're excited about. And that's why I'm excited to be a part of I've Been There. I mean, I've been through stuff. I lost my mom to cancer a year ago. I was a single mom and had to make it, with 3 kids, make it on my own and, line up everything, do it myself. And so I like to be an inspiration wherever I can with women that are trying to rebuild their lives.
That's awesome. And you're a good role model.
Well, I try.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? That's the most important thing because a lot of people don't try. They give up. They turn to the system. They turn to the dark side. And they just say, well, that didn't work, so I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and let whatever happen.
Well, it's all about
happens.
the word and growing in our faith.
Yeah.
And then just passing it on. Passing it on as we learn and we grow.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that because it really is about the word. It isn't about fire and brimstone preaching. It isn't about how much verses you can memorize or know. I'm not taking a shot at you on that.
I know.
Okay, maybe I was. But it really is about just reading the word and letting the Holy Spirit inspire us through the word. It's that simple. Everybody who's not a Christian thinks there's just this laundry list of things we have to do. And the only thing we have to do is nothing. We get to accept Christ and read his word.
Pop quiz for Sarah.
Oh, dear.
Scott Walker or Rand Paul?
Hey, I didn't bring it up. He did.
I am 60% Rand Paul, probably 40% Scott Walker at this moment.
Okay.
Good answer.
All right. David, we're just about wrapping up for today. Read your poem that you wrote for us today.
Have you ever had times when no strength you could find and the pressures of life weighed you down? I have felt that same way, and all I can say, there is hope if you'll only hang on. Have you ever felt fear or lost someone dear? Are you lonely or full of despair? Many know how you feel, and for them it's been real. I can say that I know, I've been there. But there's one who knows best than all of the rest, a world full of pain he can see. Through all that you are facing, may you feel his arms embracing. He forgives and sets free. So no matter where you've been or if your life's full of sin, when you feel there's no reason to be, Turn to God, say a prayer. I promise He'll be there. This I know, because He's been there for me.
The show's called I've Been There, David Burrier and Company. It'll start in June. It'll be on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock right here on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA, and it will also be live on the web the Thursday night previous. So the Thursday show will be live.
Yep.
And then you'll play it back on the radio on Saturday.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being here, brother. I love you.
Oh,
Thank you guys for being here. It's super to meet you face to face. Carrie, as always, you're one of my favorite people, man. Frank, I'll just see you tomorrow. Ryan, thanks for producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Now, remember tonight what I want you to do. I ask you every day, have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it? You haven't, have you? Tonight, think of that person you have a resentment against. Think of that person you just can't get out of your head. They just drive you crazy. Tonight, drop to your knees and offer forgiveness, because as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. I'll see you in church.